So a customer of ours sent us his GX12i. His is the 5% version. The 2% version will take apart and look about the same. The only thing that's different is just the size of the sleeve that's inside the adjustable knob here. So the issue this guy was having was that his injector here wasn't pulling product from his tank. So a couple different things that could cause that. Chances are, though, it could be this red sleeve that's on the inside. There's a gasket that sits on the rod that connects to the injector, and I'll show you that in a bit here. But typically if that gasket starts to go bad or if it shrinks, then it doesn't create a vacuum and it won't pull product. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this bottom nut, and then I can pull this check valve out of the red sleeve that's in here. On this check valve, the spring is on the inside. A lot of times what will happen is on a lot of the insecticide products that are being used, it'll crystallize in here and this check valve can get stuck. So there are these two tabs here. Grab them and then pull turn it counterclockwise. You can pull that out, and then you can pull out the spring. So in this guy's case, he has nothing in here. He probably ran water through it and cleaned it out. So put it back, and then the next thing you can do is there's this cap that holds onto the check valve body. You can unthread that, and you'll see where this hose connects to the hose barb on the check valve body. Sometimes what will happen when these hoses get old, this one's not too old, it's maybe about a year old or so, but this hose here, when you take it off the check valve, it'll be a lot larger. So like it might not seal as well. So what you can do is, as long as you have enough hose, you can just cut that little bit of hose off, put it back on the hose barb, and that can help get a better seal in case if air were getting in there. Then go ahead, just tighten it back on. Assemble your check valve again. Then you want to make sure you lock this again, so when you push down on it, turn it clockwise, it'll lock in place so it doesn't come out. The next thing I'd be looking at is on the adjustment knob. I can take this off the blue body, and then you can see a tab right there. That tab will fit in here, so it locks in place. There's also this O-ring here. Make sure this O-ring isn't chipped or look damaged in any way. When you look on the inside, this is the red sleeve I was talking about. So there is this rod here that's connected to the piston. To take this rod out, just turn it either clockwise or counterclockwise. Should be a quarter rotation. Then you can pull it out. This is your locking tab where it locks into the injector. So if I put it back in, then I can turn it again and it's locked. Now it's unlocked and taken out. So there's this gasket that's here. And what happens is this gasket will ride inside of this sleeve, and it should create a vacuum, and it should be a decently tight vacuum that's in there. And so what will happen is I can tell when I look at this, you can see past the O-ring and light on the other side, so I know it's not making a good seal. So it's probably not pulling product because of that. So now that it's a problem with the sleeve, you can look at the sling and make sure, or this sleeve, and make sure that there's no nicks or cuts or anything damaged inside of there. Looking at the gasket, it looks fine, but it's obviously a little bit smaller since it's not pulling properly. So I'm just going to get this pick. I'm going to pull this gasket off. And then I have a new gasket here. I'm just going to put this in place. And now with this new gasket, when I put it in, it feels a lot tighter. So I know, and I can hear it. I don't know if you can, but I can hear as well that it's making a good vacuum when it pulls as well. As I look past it, I can't see any light on the other side. Chances are it's probably that O-ring is what his problem was. Then the last piece on the system here that I'm going to take a look at is I'm going to take this cap off. This on the top of the cap is your bleeder. Check down here as well to see if there's any sort of crystallization. And there's an O-ring that sits down here as well. Just make sure that O-ring looks fine and it's sealing. Because if this were to be kept pushed down, or if this O-ring wasn't good, you can pull in air from here, and then you'll have problems with your injector pulling. Inside here is the piston. When I pull the piston out, just take a look at it again, make sure it's not cracked, obviously damaged. There is this rod right here, which is connected to this, and as you push up on it, you'll hear that click. You can push down, and there's that click again. There are some springs that are in here These springs are what will move it. Make sure those springs look good. There's some O-rings that sit on these white plungers here. Make sure those O-rings look good as well, and that they are also sealing when it's closed. But as long as this piston can move easy enough, then your piston's probably fine. And this is what will make that clicking noise whenever the system's running, whenever that piston goes up, and then when it goes back down. So to put it back together, you just put it inside there. Go ahead and grab your rod. Push that back in. Grab your injection, and again, there's this tab where it lines up. Thread it back on. Take your check valve. And there's also tabs there to where it sits inside the sleeve. And then that is the disassembly of the GX12i.